Hello, and welcome to the Steve and Mark Discuss podcast, where Steve will raise a hot topic and he will do a monologue about it, and then I'll respond accordingly. So, over to Steve.
Hi, people. So, this year, it looks like all the stars have aligned, and it's a good opportunity. I imagine it'll be a unique opportunity for half the people on the planet to vote their leaders for the next 4 years. There are 64 countries and the EU who have national elections this year. And, looking at the results of these elections, we're going to find if people around the world are satisfied with their lot, if they are upset about something, Speaking today, one result has already come in. It's like watching the Eurovision Song Contest, as the results come in slowly, as time passes by.
Yeah.
I've got the list of 64 countries, but I think it would be too extensive to name them all.
Yeah.
But we've got, India, Indonesia, Mexico, Iran, the UK, US, of course, South Korea, South Africa, North Korea, Chad, Romania, Senegal, Cambodia, Rwanda, Dominican Republic, Jordan, Kiribati. I'd never heard of this country before. And Tuvalu, which is another country that I've heard very, very little about. But however, I digress.
Yeah.
Bangladesh had their results in the other day. And the incumbent prime minister, Sheikh Hasina, a woman, Sheikh Hasina, was re-elected for the fifth time. Now, what do the people of Bangladesh think about this? About their way of life, And so I had to do my little investigations as I tend to do and find out how life is like in Bangladesh. So Dhaka, which is the capital of Bangladesh, is also the most populated city in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
And is a very dirty city. This is not me speaking. This, by the way, are what I've gathered from question and answers on the internet.
Right.
Very dirty city. A very crumbling infrastructure. If you go out on the outskirts of the city, it gets worse. The people are still in the phase of crapping in the streets. A little bit like San Francisco, I suppose, crapping in the streets. Lots of rubbish piling up, sporadic rubbish removal.
Yeah.
Dodgy food preparation, dodgy hygiene.
Yeah, okay.
The culture about women is that the women are second class, apparently.
Right.
And they are wolf whistled on the streets. It's called Eve teasing, where the young guys who go after the young girls and try and get to bed them, when women are married, they have to cover themselves up, cover themselves up with scarves. So I imagine it's some sort of Muslim type country. I'm not sure what religion it is. I didn't find that part out.
No.
But what does this tell me? It tells me that the people must be satisfied with what they have, because this lady has been prime minister for 20 years, or she will be at the end of this.
Yeah.
At the end of this for 20 years, and the relationship between men and women hasn't changed. The relationship between infrastructure and modernization doesn't seem to have changed. you know, telephones and internet and things like that are sporadic. They're constantly fall going offline, and
Mm,
electricity is always, you know, getting power cuts and things like that where the
mm,
system can't take it. And it strikes me that everybody's left to fend for themselves,
mm.
which is a very sort of conservative view, you know, a
Yeah.
very Republican view. If you look at the United States, where they say the state should be the minimum,
Mm,
and everybody should look after themselves.
yeah.
So in Bangladesh, you've got many people who sell goods, many commercial people, independent commercial people.
Mm,
So like small farmers will take the goods to the market and sell them
yeah.
instead of going to a big supermarket. Apparently, the biggest supermarket in Bangladesh is a mini Walmart. So, you know, and they are few and far between.
Yeah.
Um, so, you know, there you have it. If Bangladesh is anything, is a guide to go by,
Mm,
you know, then I'm afraid to say that the world is going to continue as it is. And there are many people complaining about the world as it is,
mm,
but are not prepared to do anything about it. So, you know, that if complacency is the same as agreeing
mm,
to the status quo.
yeah.
I'm
Right.
not trying to rile up. I'm not trying to rile up anybody to, you know, take up arms and
Oh, of
go
course
against
not.
them, because now this year is the time to go to the ballot box.
Yeah.
We can, I think, we can agree to say that there are some countries like Chad
Mm,
where it's difficult to, or Russia. The elections in Russia, in the Russian Federation, are in March, but
mm.
it looks like the results are already in.
Oh,
If
well,
you know what I mean.
that's convenient. Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Saves all that counting later.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, so we know that there are some countries that, you know, rule with an iron fist, and
Mm,
however, in these more open countries, there needs to be, if people want their voices to be heard, they need to vote in the way that they think is going to change. We've got a dilemma in the UK
yeah.
because you can put a cigarette paper between the Conservatives and the Labour Party
Mm,
in terms of policy and in terms of direction of the country. You know, you can in Germany.
mm,
I think that there's going to be some uh, voting this year as well.
mm.
So that should be interesting as well to see which way they decide to go. But there you have it, sir. Yeah, you've got 64 countries,
Mm,
some major players on the world stage,
mm,
others not so much.
yeah.
Some on the outskirts, you know, on
Yeah.
the outskirts. But now is the time to do it, or not, and be satisfied with what you've got. There you
Right.
are.
Okay.
Deal with that one.
Well, okay. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm afraid I don't follow Bangladeshi politics that closely, if at all. Yeah, like you, just saw it flash up. Um, the fact is that we can only, as people, we can only vote for whom we've ever put in front of us as a democracy. And sometimes it is a case of voting for whom we consider the least worse. And maybe in the case of Bangladesh, it could be a lot worse, or it could be worse than it already is. Yeah, okay. The Bangladeshi people know themselves. You'd have to study more. It's a poor. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not one of the wealthiest countries in the world.
No.
They have their issues. They have their issues with some of their neighbours as well, I think. I think one of the wettest countries in the world as well. I think Bangladesh. I can't remember. I might be wrong there. Probably people surviving, and sometimes I don't believe it's on a lockdown sort of thing. I think people are aware of an outside world there. I mean, we have Bangladeshis live in London who are in correspondence with their relatives back in Bangladesh. So it's quite an open society, so they know that there is an outside world there. Again, religion is a great way to control people as well, faith and religion. And I know it's a controversial thing to say. Remember that, I don't think I'm religious, but I do have a faith. But even I can see how that could be manipulated, as it has been in the past across Europe. There's even been battles between popes and sovereign kings and queens. Okay, we go to history, but this is the 21st century. We've got mass communication, as you say now. There is internet in Bangladesh. There is ways of connecting. It's not a totally backward country. It's not, so maybe the people there just vote from whom they feel comfortable with. They know this person. It keeps the status quo going, as you say, which brings us on to another thing, taking that chance. I'm going to come to the UK now because it's something I can relate to. Brazil, we're a few years off another election here, which we don't participate in. The elections in the UK are going to be interesting. I saw yesterday that a former leader of Workers' Party, the Labour Party, is looking to set up his own party with people who have the same core beliefs as he did. I said this years ago about the Labour Party. I'm not opposed to ideas of the Labour Party. Some of them are quite humanitarian idealist. It is sometimes the people who implement them or should be implementing them that I question, but we'll come into that in a minute. This guy is going to set up things which could actually split the Labour Party. And again, people probably will like this guy. Nice enough guy, Mr. Corbyn. Not someone I probably want to spend a lot of time with, but he seems a reasonable, good campaigner. I believe he believes a lot of the things he says, even if I disagree with them. There's also, the other thing is, like you say, being able to put a Rizla or the fag packet, the cigarette paper between the parties. I don't even think it's that anymore. I don't think there's any space at all. I think they've almost done backroom drills over lots of the major issues. They just shout off a little bit about the small things and divert us into this and that, hoping that we'll miss the big things. Let's be honest, a majority of voters just worry about carrying on their own lives. They're not going to think about 4 years of politics and policies, and they're not going to go digging around. They're going to watch main media outlets. Oh, this person said this person said that. This is that, without questioning, almost. I'm not saying they're stupid. A lot of people got to concentrate on their own lives. People do. The other thing people notice is rising prices when they go to the supermarket, as you said, they go around their basket for the same prices, a lot less. Costs a lot more. That's the thing that affects people. Do we understand economics? Do we understand what inflation is? Do we understand anything? Even economists can't agree on these things. They've been to university and trained on it. So anyway, now, again, it's now looking at alternatives. Do we take a chance? The Conservative vote may be split with okay, let's just say there's one main new party. There's other parties floating around. Okay, so we could be talking about this new left-wing party. Fair enough. People make their choice there. To say we've got a new centralist party, that's probably going to take votes from what was always the established right-wing party, the Conservatives. It could actually be taking votes from Labour, traditional votes from Labour as well, with their ideas. Now, when you're near, when this new party is doing quite well, when people are saying they're extreme right and they're this and that, racist and everything else. There's no evidence. They've not said anything for me. And bearing in mind, both you and I live as immigrants in another country that is a very diverse country. So we cannot be by default have extreme views one way or another with regards to ethnicity or anything else. And they're not. And they are attracting attention. It's questionable whether the right person is in charge of this party, the Reform Party. Be it, he's a nice chap, possibly. He's not charismatic. So again, with politics, especially in the media world we live in now, to get elected, you have to be quite charismatic.
I find it strange that in the West, one of the important things for a politician is to be charismatic, and that's taken into consideration. Coming back to Bangladesh, the poop factor in the street, that's the old adage: you can't see the wood for the trees. Well, in Bangladesh, apparently you can't see the street for the shit. But the thing is that you talk about the people in the UK going around the supermarkets with the basket and having to pay more. It strikes me it's only when the people are feeling a pinch, or feeling that they're suffering, that they complain. If everybody in the UK was on a very reasonable salary, if prices went up or down, they wouldn't really care. Because it's a little bit like us when we go to the supermarket here. I mean, I still look at it's my upbringing as a kid, I suppose. But I mean, I still look at the prices. But if there's something that I want, I get it, but here in Bangladesh, the people don't have that luxury. It comes down to what you need and what you want. And here, there in the UK, people are wanting more than they need. I think.
Well, okay, that's I mean, we've had it. It's been so good for so long, really. I've read books by it. Andrew Marr said that in a book I read.
The youngsters of today in the UK, have never had it bad.
No, and
so when it comes bad, they're going to suffer the worst. Because they've got no reference.
I mean, my references. I was born in 1970. I remember the winter's discontent, where the rubbish did pile up on the street, the mass strikes. I mean, ironically, there was a left-wing government in power. Along came, people took a chance with a new leader, Margaret Thatcher. Very divisive. You and I could probably do an entire podcast what we liked and disliked about her. Did she save the UK or not? Okay, that's for the historians and the economists to argue the figures. She certainly revitalised things and shook things up a bit. Again, took a chance. We moved in a direction. Okay, there's things that went wrong. Compared with what's happening now, the things that went wrong then are very minor. That's all the minors, very minor. There were decisions made, okay, but decisions were made. Now, and things used to be acted upon. When there is a strong politician now, and we're not talking about an extremist, okay, you can argue what's extremist, but we're not really talking extremists. They are still set out to be destroyed in the world we have now, and that's on both sides of the fence.
In Pakistan, which has elections this year, one of the candidates is in prison. Imran Khan. He's still in prison, but he's a candidate. I think that the Pakistani elections will be interesting. To see what the results are going to be.
I'd probably win it. But yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, if he does he get out of prison?
Can he
Yeah.
pardon? He could probably pardon himself. Um, that's going to be interesting. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing what's happening in October, November in the US, which, yeah, I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. It is the US. What's happening there? We can all see what's going on at the moment. I think we can honestly say that no one has any love for either of the sides, the two main candidates there, really, in all honesty. It's a case of vote for whomever, support whomever you think is the least worst. Again, there's a couple of spoilers in the big rounds there as well. It would be nice to see probably one of the spoilers as a VP to one of the main candidates. If you're looking to unite the US, that could be the way. I think there's one side that's more open to that suggestion than the other. Yeah. Again, I'm not having this podcast to say one way or another, you know. Yeah, you can make your own minds up about that. Again, the UK, which is being whatever we might think, there could be an election in March, there could be an election in October, September. I don't know. I can't call that one.
They've got in the UK. They've got until next year to do it.
Yeah, but you don't. It was always ideal you didn't wait to the last minute because that would seem desperation. But yeah, I think there's a lot of disenchantment with the two main parties. Let's say entire parties there, even amongst their own numbers, even amongst their own politicians, their leadership.
You know when things on a national level are going bad because that's when the politicians start really arguing amongst themselves and resigning.
I mean,
like they are doing in the US. They're resigning in the US, resigning in the UK. You know, because they know what's coming down the pipe.
Well, I mean, this thing that Corbyn's doing is going to split the Labour movement or the Labour Party and the momentum, whatever.